Nice. So everything catch up. Here we go. Catch up. Ahoy, shipmates. Here we are, back in the 100 Years' War. Not actually in the 100 Years' War, but... good evening. Let's zoom just a little bit, shall we? There we go. That's better. How are we doing, Ben? Bit better zoomed in, innit? So, we're back on this bad boy, Age of Chivalry, 100 Years' War football band. Just remember, we painted some like that. We painted some like that. So, we're back painting some more like these guys. I was waiting for you. Yes. Some say I was predictable. Some say. So how you been, my friend? In an attempt to keep the dog quiet, I give him a bone to chew. So if you hear any bone grinding sounds, it's not not getting rid of disposing of bodies. It's actually just a dog with a bone. Good evening, Kubler. Yes, all good. Right, I think I'm going to start off by getting the metal done. Ahoy! How we... Let's read another video to watch. I haven't watched that one yet. Feeling good. Come on then. You can't leave us in suspense. Why are you feeling so good? Or are you... It does sound like I'm feeding the trolls. Hopefully it will stop in a minute. If it gets too distracting, guys, just let me know and I'll hoof him off downstairs. I thought, oh yeah, one of these chewy bones will keep him nice and quiet. Yes, it does sound like a large slavering troll. That's my favourite. I can't remember if it was actually in a D&D module or whether it's one that's kind of me and my friends have put into a kind of in joke. But I'm sure there was a module that it reads the screen. I've said it on here before, but I'll say it again. You enter the room, a 20 by 20 room. It's got a small table, a bookcase, a table with a potion on it. Underneath the table, you can see a small gem. And in the corner of the room is a large slavering troll. I always thought that was very funny. It's not what you'd expect to spot first, is it, really? I think there was a room described in one of the early modules similarly to that, and we sort of linked into it. Oi, 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 oi! Tank! Now he's decided to throw his bed everywhere. Evening. might have to get. He's decided to turn his bed upside down now. We'll see if he settles down. If not, we'll evict him. I have to shout at him in a minute. Just stop it. Oh, I see. Sorry guys, wait a sec. Oh, calm down. Come on, you're evicted. You've been evicted from the... Go! Come on. Or you're going to stay down at the boat. What are you doing? Oh dear, sorry about that. He's got himself. he flipped his bed over on top of his bone. And, he's over there being excited. If he doesn't calm down soon, he will be evicted. As you see, I'm using the rubbishy brush. Hopefully, I think he's going to get himself stupid again. Yep. It's a bit off-putting. He's going to have to go, I think. Excuse me a minute, chaps. Let's evict the dog. Right, out. Go on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Follow the bone. Sorry. Come on. Come on, let's go. Wait, let's go. Come on. Downstairs. Look, follow the bone. Come on. Oh dear. Right. We can pretend the start's not. Good evening. How are we all? And it's peaceful. Have a slurp of a drink. I gather myself. It was 10 minutes of dog mayhem. Sorry about that, chaps. Right, where were we? Yes, good evening. We're back in the Age of Chivalry and the 100 Years' War. Let's completely start again so I can get my thought patterns going. The small amount of grey matter I've got left. So I'll get Age of Chivalry, 100-Year War footband. Done these ones. I think the Hearthguard's ready to do next. Then these guys, and I think there's another batch of infantry to do. So, as you can see, I've done the usual Xenophil base undercoat on these chaps. And I've done, as you saw earlier, so it's dried. That's the neutral pomace. And I've just put some brown on. Okay. Oh, it's nice and quiet now. Probably somebody's going to go, oh, we like the dog causing mayhem. Yes. Yes, I'm sure. It's very amusing. Okay. So what's everyone been up to? Or up to? I can see Ben looked a bit too busy to be painting tonight. I'm trying to think what we've been up to this week. I popped in to see my friends at Beast Towers. They've all been very busy with all the new miniatures and stuff. Taking orders for collection at Partisan at the moment. That's on the website as well. So they've got a few of those already starting to come in. They're casting like mad. So if you are going to require anything at Partisan, I'd get your order in sooner rather than later. You know what I mean? They've got all the oh, good show. I think my one commission left on the shelf to do. So I've been giving myself a few breaks this week to get some bits and pieces painted for my web shop thing. So it's filling up nicely of just different stuff. Nice. I found some. I found a box of Griffin Beast plastic bits. They underneath my workbench when they first come out. I think I done a review on them and stuck the box underneath my painting desk. So I thought, So I wanted to get some on the on my website because that's what I'm gonna be doing is selling saga like reinforcements. Ahoy! How goes it, Stuart? Yes, there's no problem at all with black undercut. It's just over the years I've got used to painting on top of the Zenithal. But yeah, they go straight onto black. Have I got anything black handy to show you? Just finish painting these chaps. The reason I do the metal this way around, like I said before, is I like well, there's a black base there. Oh, cool. I'll have a look later, Ben. Yeah, I mean, if you're obviously black based, then you can do this the quicker way. But I like doing it this way because I get like a darker metal, strangely enough, using this method because I'll be washing the area, you know what I mean? Which puts an extra couple of steps in, but I think on the whole it's worth it. If I was painting like regiments and regiments of them, no, you're probably better off doing the black base and a dry brush or something like that. But where these are Hearthguard, you've only got 4 of them to worry about, so. But the coverage of the Fanatic paints are, I was going to say fantastic. Fanatic paints is fantastic. So, I mean, to be honest, you could probably undercoat them in this gunmetal and just paint over the top of the gunmetal. So at the moment, just washing away on this gunmetal. I found it's very similar to the new Vallejo Model Air gunmetal. Same consistency, same sort of. Or even metallic speed paint. I think it's aged broadsword or something. Broadsword silver, maybe. They work fine, but I don't personally see you get much benefit from the speed paint ones. The Hoplite Gold's very good, but I quite like the Fanatic metallics anyway. They do a nice metallic set. Gee, all the gemstone ones as well. Usually I do the flesh first, but because there's so much metal. Um, it depends really of who you're painting it for. Um, I'd be doing quite. Oh, I said shield down. I started painting the shield already. I'll probably do these ones. I think the other Hearthguard I've done in this set, I've done like quite clean. So I'll probably match these with the same. Depends if you're going to freehand them as well. Or use I like the little big man stickers as well. They're quite cool. They do like you can buy battle worn ones of those as well. They're quite groovy. What I sometimes do when I'm doing the Dark Age stuff is I'll actually chop the shield about with a knife before I undercoat it. That always looks cool. I should do a little shield video, shouldn't I? Just painting shields. It's like freehand one, a clean one, a dirty one. Yeah, I'm probably going to go for quite bright colours on these ones. I think the other ones I did in like white because we did them like very crusadery. The thing is, I mean, even if you do them nice and clean, you can always drop a bit of a wash over them at the end. So this metal, I'm going to wash it in a black with the army paint, a dark tone, which is going to give us a very dark metal look. But again, if you're doing, say, some orcs or a rook, or you wanted something with kind of a dirty looking armor, you could wash it with the brown ones. It's strong tone instead. That always works really well. Makes it look a bit grimed up and dirty. So if you want your stuff looking a bit campaigny, just go and drop a bit of that into the chainmail and stuff like that. It's that one. It's dark tone's what I use for this, for my one in a minute, but yeah, I think it's strong tone. Oh dear, that was quite some start, wasn't it? With the dog being helpful. A little bit of silver missing from there. I'm not putting much medium into this. I'm just maybe enough to keep my brush wet as I'm using the metallics. So next we shall drop a little bit of flesh into the open. Well, there's only one of them. Well, we'll paint his face then, so that won't take long. Just grab my brush with a tip on it. So I used the rubbish brush, if you didn't hear me earlier, because I was using metallic, and yeah, metallic paint and washes and stuff like that. Don't use your good brushes because you will kill them. So this one is the Moonstone skin. I'm just gonna, I'll put that onto a wet palette, and I'm just adding a kind of brush full at a time with the medium, just to make it run nice onto there. the miniature, and I'm just looking at a nice flat layer. Don't force it to cover. There we go. Yeah, they're nice, aren't they? I mean, obviously those two have just been a head swap, but that one's actually got a slightly different pose to it. But when you mix them in with the others, it's fine. Oh, he's got his helmet open as well. Yeah, I just spotted on their website they've got some real cool looking guys with glaives, which you're gonna grab for another project I'm working on. Some Age of Magic stuff. Oh, cheers, Stuart. Thank you very much. Welcome aboard. Yeah, so what have we been doing this week? We got the couple of commissions off earlier in the week. That was good. Another one up in the box there, ready to go. Just trying to think. Let me just. So we'll start with some of these colours. We'll do each one a different colour. That'd be good, wouldn't it? So we'll start this one with Imperial Navy. So we'll do a blue, a green, a red, and maybe a white, something like that. We'll start with this Imperial Blue. And we're going to water it down with the medium. Now, if you've not seen this before, the medium I use is very similar to the medium you can buy from Army Painter, which is I think it's just called Fanatic Medium, I think, or something. It's like a matte medium. But I make my own from thing. But if you look through my videos, there's a video on how I make it, and I do use an awful lot of it. But you can see, because I'm watering the paint down as it's going on, you can see how it's falling into what we've come to know as the valleys, and it's rolling off the peaks. So we're actually kind of doing like an underpaint, if you like. It's because of the grey Zenithal, we're kind of undershaded it. So this will kind of be what a speed paint does, really. So we're turning our paints into effectively the same idea. They're selling you, in speed paints, contrast paints, they're selling you a technique in a bottle, really. A bit like Games Workshop did with glazes and stuff like that. It's a technique, not a product. And this is kind of a watercolor technique, but hey, it works lovely. As you see, now it's drying, we're naturally going to get some shading. So we're not looking to do a kind of solid coat with this on. What we're looking is, I'll show you how thin the paint is by what I put on my foam wrap. Can you see how thin that is? So it's just showing the grey through as it dries. And what it will do, a number of things. We get free shading, because obviously it's going to look darker in the valleys than it is on the peaks. It's actually going to naturally fall away from the peak, and where we've Zenithal highlighted, it's going to look a lot lighter pie. Just put a little bit more over there, okay? Keeping it thin, working that medium into the palette. And we'll start the shield as well. We're doing a matching shield. Have fun with the Age of Chivalry. I think as paint, it's especially historical painting stuff. This is as close as it gets to fantasy time, isn't it? You know. So yeah, don't be frightened of getting too bright on them, because I don't think you can go too bright. Okay, so that's the base one, I believe. We'll let that one dry. The important thing when you're working in very thin paint colours is you give them plenty of time to dry, because you will kind of not reactivate them, but you can actually wash them off. If I went back now and put water over that and scrubbed it with my brush, all that blue would come off. Well, most of it. Next we'll start with a green base one. We're going to start with Angel Green. I'm starting on probably the darker side of the dark side. Something. Yeah, of the colour ranges of the Fanatics. Obviously, you've got 6, like a double triad. Maybe even a sextuple. Is it a sextuplet? Yeah, whatever. So yeah, so that Angel Green's very dark. See, that's too thick. That is gone on too thick. So what I'll do is I'll wash my brush out. I'll go back into the medium. And on the wet palette, I'll just thin that out. And then I'll go right next to that and let the medium that's in my brush thin that out. Now you can see the white coming back through. Can you see? You can see that. So when I first put that paint on it, the coverage on this Fanatic paint is really, really good. I'll show you again on his shield in a minute when we get there. So what I said is it will cover over a black base. Pretty pigment loaded, this stuff. Right. That's good for us. It means we can get it thinner and thinner and thinner. And if we're using a medium rather than water, the paint's not going to fall apart. It's going to hold together better. I'm just making sure there's not too much sitting in the valleys. There's a bit in there. Just reminds me if I thought I'd missed that bit of blue in there. So let's wash the brush. The beauty of having a wet palette, I can just dive back into the blue. Yeah, and you see that's really dried nice and matte. That's the matte medium working well with the paint. Okay, so I was going to show you, right, let's grab some pure, this is out of the bottle. As you see, that's pretty solid. And as you jump a nail there, it's solid. That's the paint out the pot. The paint we're using to paint with is that thick. Yeah. So as we see on the shield there, before it dries, we're going to add some medium to the brush, and we're going to spread that out. So that one bit of paint I put on it covers the whole shield. There we go. So you see the difference between that and that on the shield? All right. Yeah, I do use the GW ones sometimes, but I prefer these are just old paint bottles then with a bit of blue tack on them. I most of the time I'll be using for like commission if I've got like 30. What I do is I get some corks, stick them to either 2Ps or bases, and then a bit of blue tack on top. Grab your miniature, boff, straight on there. Look at that. That's one of the first ever miniatures I painted right back in 1990, maybe. Actually, no, that's one of the later ones. I painted way before that. But hey, oh no, was it? Yeah, they were the old TSR colours, the AD&D line. Yeah, it's basically cubes. That's what these are. It's blue tack, straight on. My favourite two handles when I'm doing a lot of. My favourite two handles are these. I filled this one up with resin to give it nice weight. And when I'm doing a single miniature, I use these two. And these are that was a stopper off of a leg of something. And that was the volume off of an old stereo that got thrown out somewhere and must have popped off. So grab anything. And if you think, these are old Tamiya paint pots, which are really nice. Yeah, I've got even the big handle for the thing, but I don't use them very much, in fairness. If I'm using a very heavy miniature and it's very big, say for instance you're doing like a tank or something, I'll drop a bit of super glue on there and stick it to the handle and then pop it off afterwards. There we go. Yes, Artemis Nix. Artie, we call you Artie. Yeah, corks are always good because if you're painting like a lot of, say for instance, you're painting 30 Vikings at one go, I've got 30 corks with the blue tack on, and they all sit at the same height, and you get into a swing of it. So I find corks are good. Any bottles really, pill bottles are good. Your vitamin bottles and stuff like that. Anything you think, yes, I'd like to hold on to that while I'm painting. Okay, so we got the base of the green down on there. So base of red, I suppose. We'll use Basilisk red, which is quite a purpley, dark purple red. So just in case Karen comes on later, you can see I've used purple. Okay, let's use the one with the shield for this one. Again, I'm adding some medium to the edge of the paint. Just give it's all wet palette anyway, but I want it to wet palette to take time to get the paint to the right kind of consistency. So it's always worth chucking a bit of medium in there. I'll show you what I'm working with. It's got good coverage, this one. Maybe even a little tiny bit more. I'm not worried on this first pass whether it actually truly covers. In fact, I don't really always want it to. I want the highlight of the undercoat to show through. That's perfect. That's nice and moist. It's kind of running along the underside of that belt, which is where we'll leave that colour in there because it's our darkest shade for this. I think, yeah, so Partisan's about 3 weeks away, isn't it? Is it 3 or 4? 4 weeks away. But before that, I've got another one that I've never been to. Should be trading that, which is Legionary in Exeter. So I'm quite excited to see that because I've not been down that one before. So it's a different area I've not been to. Just sort of trading. Another good handle hint is my friend used to cut up every so often get a wooden broom handle, and just used to get his friend with a electric saw just to zip them off. That seemed to be. If you can do that, watch your fingers because you'll be needing them to paint. So now we're at this point, we can start. Just letting that just thinly coat. It'd be rude not to do a yellow guy, wouldn't it? So we're going to start with Demigod Flames, which is an orangey yellow. I'm going to thin this out. As somebody famous once said, two thin coats. We're going for one thin coat at the moment. Well, we're going to have lots of thin coats, in fairness, but definitely thin your paint. I mean, you can see even thinned out, that's got good coverage. I just noticed I've missed a bit of chainmail. So we just grab a little bit in there. I missed the back of his leg. That was probably a bit of excitement when the dog was going potty. I can blame him because he's not here. He's probably snoring on the sofa by now. Should have swapped brushes really, but these aren't very expensive. These are cheap brushes, these are, so I'm not too much. I mean, sometimes if I've got a lot of metallics to paint, I'll sacrifice from these because these are like, I think they work out like 70 pence each, these ones. They're very cheap ones. A bit of yellow now. I don't like it on that side, so I'm gonna. What we did there, wash my brush out, and I'll just let, because it's very watery, the brush is slightly damp, and it will just wick that up, wick it away. It saves us tying it up in a minute. If you get used to sorting problems as you go, rather than, oh, I'll sort it out later, the neater you are as you go along, it does save. You will. I think it saves time in most cases, and also you'll get a better result at the end because you're being more controlled. If, for instance, you're doing a horde of orcs, and well, crash on. So I'm all out at the end. I think this guy's actually. Oh no, it's not a breastplate. I thought this side, you see the bottom edge, and it looked like it's a breastplate, but it's actually a belt that goes round there. So it's just not a very clear sculpt line above. But we'll make it look right when we put the colour there. Yeah, we're not worrying about it covering. Yes, very true. There's nothing worse than getting to the end of the miniature, lacquered it, get it into the light box, and you spot something. I did that for one of the last boxes. I'd done some plastic. What were they for? Oh no, it's one of the Roman cataphracts plastic box. I was really happy with the paint jobs. Sent the proof pictures through to BC Boys, and they went, "You've missed a mold line right down the horse's face." I went, "No!" And chances are it wouldn't have been seen on the box, but what can you do? So I had to remove the paint and the mold line, and then repaint that horse's face all the way back in, and match it into the rest of it. Oh, that was a fun job. Hey, evening, Mr. Art Space. How are you doing? So yeah, that's our base colours in. So what we do whilst they dry is we're going to go back with the dark tone. Yarg. Yeah, so this is a dark tone, which is the same as your Nuln Oil, but I think it's actually just a little bit. Weirdly, it's a bit stronger, but they tend to dry just kind of the same, I think. But I like this one because you can alter it a little bit. So I like putting a bit of medium in my brush just to make it run nice. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to hit all over our gunmetal. And this is going to make it nice and dark. This is why I've put a little bit of medium in it, so it's not, because this medium is really fiercely dark, and we don't want it to go. We're not looking for kind of black steel kind of look. I just want this to be able to run into all the chainmail, etc., etc. Ah, so sorry to hear that, mate. Yeah, we'll all send you our love. You know what I mean? Oh, it's good you can come on tonight, mate. So, yes. So we're going to crash this. What was it? Dark. I always get the word dark because the brown one is called strong tone. And the strong, you got three. You got strong tone, soft tone, and dark tone. The strong tone is the soft tone and the dark tone mixed. So the soft tone is just a straight soft brown, and the strong is a very black brown. So yeah, get that in there now so we can get it nice and dry before we have to do it. But that's why I've gone up completely covered that rather than do it to black, because as you can see, we're going to get some real dark recesses, which is, I think, worth the extra work. But as for other things, you know what I mean, as this makes extra work to do this, it does mean when we're doing those colors, we're going to get free highlights. So, you know, it's a real every cloud sort of situation with this style. I'm just making sure that none of this black wash is piling up. As I said earlier, if I was doing some, I don't know, Uruks or something like that from the Ragnarok range, which I've got to do soon, instead of this using black, you can use the strong tone, which has got the brown mixed in, which instantly makes this, instead of it looking dark, will make it look dirty. And shouting around out the front. Opposed to the dog shouting around, and you missed that at the start. The dog was being he got sent off. He was sent off to play with mummy downstairs. He's was far too noisy. These are the 100-Year War, which, to be honest, they're pretty much the same, aren't they? It's just how you're going to paint them. This set is the Saga Age of Chivalry 100 Years War foot warband. So we did the first 4 like that, and then we're doing the second 4 now, and we've already done some of these guys. Yeah, so it's more towards War of the Roses, really, isn't it? Oh, pardon me. But these are they've packaged them for Saga. But I think the ideal way to buy them, if you're that way inclined, is to go to the Griffin Beast website and click on the front rank miniatures, and you can pick the individual, because they've still got they still basically do it the same way as front rank did. So you can go on to the yeah, if you go on to the front rank section on the Griffin Beast website, you can literally pick the miniature that you want rather than buying a box and getting a random 8. I think it's the best way. If I was doing a particular army, you could actually go through and pick the exact miniatures you want. I think that's amazing. It's amazing service, that, really, isn't it? Well, I think so. Don't tell the Beastie Boys I said that, because it will go to their head. Although, yeah. Well, they've all been the same on their miniatures as well. If you go to the trouble of getting in touch with them and say, could you blah, 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 they're always really very helpful. And there's some that they can't swap about, but generally, if you need different weapons with something. Yeah. Yeah, if you find, say, if you go through the whole catalog and just literally pick, there's so many different ones you can pick them with. See this one, I bet there's a version on there with his helmet down, and there's one with him a different helmet, and blah blah blah, and there's goes on and on, doesn't it? But then there's a Scottish battle board on the Age of Chivalry I was looking at earlier. Aye, the wee beasties. Yeah, so that's all good. So I'm just going to see. Now you can really see why we're doing the metal this way. And if you want to look that, it's like Elon was talking about, like that campaigny look. Just by putting this dark effect on them, you're kind of halfway there, aren't you? And then just go back and put some. Yeah. So let's go back to the blue one. So you can see is that black wash is already starting to make that metal look interesting. And we do two ways on these ones. We can either drop washes on them, or we can start layering them up. But I think we should start layering them up. So we did Imperial. The next one up is a Regal blue. Not massive tones. This is the next one up on the step. So what we do now, we're still thin on our paint with our medium, but now we're looking to paint on the peaks, not into the valleys. So we're going to go down the middle of the peak there, not into the dippy bit, on the peak there, and down the sides of the peak a little bit, so don't leave too much of that. We want the very bottoms of that left that dark colour. All right. I love them, mate. They're really good. If I had one harsh criticism, I don't think the reds are as good as they used to be. I think you have to work a lot harder to get the nice effect with them than the older ones. But as for especially the brown, the browns are brilliant. But there's new paints coming out all the time. They've just brought out the new historical ones for the World War II, and they brought out the Blanche ones, and the new paints that they're adding, apparently they're going to be adding them to the range as well. So I'm hoping as they go through and find artists to do that, that somebody does a nice red. I know there's a new red in one of the Blanche kits, I think. But I should imagine that'd be probably quite a dark, grimdark one. They look nice, but there's on the website, I believe, it shows you which are actually new colours and which are just renamed, because they've renamed a few as well. So again, I think it's just a case of buyer beware at the moment. So this, now we've watered down that paint, and I'm gonna go quite strong across the top, almost covering that first one. And then as we go down, I'm not going to paint right to the bottom of the shield. I'm going to paint, just leave the tip, that original colour, and I'm just going to lightly fill that in. And round the edges, I'm not going to, again, same sort of thing down the side. I'm just going to leave that bottom bit. All right. Next, we're going to move on to the green. Next one up is Guardian Green. Thinning our paint, and we're going to hit the high, we're going to hit the peaks. So it's the peaks. Say some of this will look slightly darker because we've done a fairly light first coat. So we'll probably have to drop a little bit of wash in there. But we can do that if we need to. Anywhere that hasn't taken the darker paint, just drop some in at this point, because this one's only a little bit lighter anyway. So we can work those raised bits. When we get to the chainmail, we're not going to go right up against it. When we get to his armpit, we're not going to go right under it, because we want it to look dark under there. Yes, that's what they're doing, Rich. Yeah, I read on their website the other day that there's a list of the new paints. There's a marker or something they put on them to let you know what's what. And again, we're gonna, on that shield, we're gonna leave the very tip of it that dark color. We're just gonna glide another layer of this over the top, a bit around the edge. Once it starts going round a little bit, I'm leaving it. Okay. Yeah, they're good sets. But yeah, you're right. If you've already got them, there's some very similar colours, aren't there? That woodland camo, I think, is in that set, isn't it? Under something else. So all those olives, they're very good, but they're very close. I looked at the John Blanche ones, and it was like, I think one of them was all the same, apart from there was a weird bluey blacky kind of thing, and also there was a different speed paint in there, and I thought, well, I was going to get them to do a video on, and I thought, well, I just didn't want them to hang around because I thought, well, they don't really fit into my racks. I suppose I could buy them, try them on the videos, and then give them away. Just let all be open. I'll think on that. Okay, this is still very purple, this second one, and this is Wyvern Fury. This is what I was saying about you having to work harder to get a nice red, is these do work well with the next layer of red up, but you need to work it. Whereas I think the old ones were more like the GW kind of red. So if you want a quick red process. Yeah, the Vallejo paints. Grabbed a set that of the new model color, and is it model color? I can't remember. I'll have a look later. And they were really strange paints. They changed the tops to the same as these ones. This is a Model Air, the new Model Air, but these tops, they're just messy all the time. That's the secret weapon, so that can be forgiven. But I've got a set of the, I can't remember what it is. They're half price, and I thought, oh, I'll just have a play with those. And if anyone really loves Vallejo and wants a a pretty new set of them, give me a shout. We can talk. So I'm just hitting this on all the raised areas and leaving that other color as is. Next, we're going to go to Fiendish Yellow. So just taking one little step up each one. Getting a bit thin down. Again, I'm going to just pick out that bottom edge. Just make sure we don't go too close into any belts or anything. Just leaving a little bit of a spacer. Yeah, they do a most wanted one now, aren't they? To be honest, you mean the older ones, the war paints? See, I kind of like them. I know I'm in the minority of those. I kind of like them. These are definitely better paints. But the original ones, work really well. That medium I make pretty much turns them into these Fanatic paints anyway. So And there were some really, really good colours on. It's got the yellow on chainmail. Just wash it off. I use the oak brown. If I ever see that anywhere, the war paints one, I'll buy bottles of that just to check in the brown that the bases with. So it's worth doing stuff like that if you can. It's like I bought a big bottle of black Vallejo because I just keep filling my black pot up with it because it's a lot cheaper. If anything, they're less they're straight out the bottles. I think they're a little bit too thick. Let's lift my wet palette up so you can see. So I don't know how much I can show you on camera. So this yellow, you can see where I've watered it down. So that's straight out of the bottle. And on the edge there is when I dip some medium in it, I will thin it out like that. And then that's it thinned. I think you can see the difference in the consistency there. But what is quite amazing is the coverage it has got. Let's find something. Sorry, I found an old GW cavalry base. Yeah, look. So this is unthinned yellow. Look. So do they cover? Yeah, they cover right. I think they've just done that as a demo. Look. You couldn't have done that with the old paint. I'm not sure what other paint line you could do that with. But I think that's just a little bit too thick to paint straight onto the miniature like that. You could get away with it. I'm enjoying myself now. That's the pretty much unthinned ones, in fairness. I've just been using that end, but they've been on the wet palettes. They're a little bit thinned. Now right, so how's that? So this is the matte white straight out the bottle. I didn't realize this was going to be a frantic video, but yeah. There we go. It is. I'm having too much fun to actually go and paint the miniatures properly now. These frantic paints are fun. You can have a lot of fun with them. let's just put a bit of medium on there just to see what happens. Look, I'm thinning them down. That was a brush of pure medium I put on there then. Can you see how that's just letting it go transparent? So it's just letting a bit of the black through. Can I stop now? Can I get back to what I'm supposed to look? Demonic yellow. This is always a good color. So I do some that goes over the top of the black and into the yellow. That's always a good test to look. Or that blue's almost dry. Let's go. Let's cover the blue with the yellow. Oh, it's a bit wet there. Let's have a nice wet blended green, shall we? Yeah. Oh, I will stop. Thank you, Sage. You're encouraging me, and also encouraging me is this pint of energy drink I've drank. Yeah, I was going all right, wasn't I? Hour and 17 minutes, and I was quite way into them. You fiends have distracted me. Whilst I'm distracted, shall we see what else can distract me today? I know I've got all the painted stuff I've boxed up. I've been good boy today. All right. Alrighty. So let's blue. Next, we're going to go for royal blue. So this is our third layer of blue. And this is going to be our kind of main highlight. This one. Oh, Rich. Again, a bit of medium into it. And I'm just going to go. So anywhere we've already painted blue, we're just going to go inside it. So we're aiming for those peaks rather than the valleys. And the edge of his, I was going to say frock then, but it really is a tabard. Surcoat, actually, isn't it? So just letting that run. So as you get to his armpit there's going to be lots of dark shading there. So we're going to go right to the top, and we're not going to go right underneath. We're just going to do a nice block of light colour in there. There's Picts and dragons up there. And demons and Balrogs and Takesis is sitting up there looking mighty. In fairness, we've been getting a lot of them down, and they've been having a dusting and a boxing, so it's some of the shelves are empty at the moment. Some have just got the, where I've put some of it up on the website for sale. So we're going to hit the shield. A bit in there. Remember, we're leaving any in the recesses now. But again, we want light across the top of the shield, because that's the lightest part. Light around this top edge. And then we're going to work from the top going down. So that top bit, we're going to paint, and as we come into the center of the shield, we're going to feather it down until we're going to leave the bottom half in the darker blue. There we go. So next we've on the third green knuckles is green skin. So we're going to just add our medium to that. And go around, work around the miniature, looking for those peaks. Putting on our highlight. Anyone that can't remember when we decided that's how we were going to describe where I'm putting the highlights is, so that's a peak and that's a valley. Get that? The peak, then a valley. So we're hitting the peaks and we're staying inside the last highlight. Staying out of the valleys. Oh, kind of was going to go all Welsh then. And then we'll make sure we won't go up under the edge of the chainmail because it's going to stay dark. And we're going to hit the peaks there. Along the bottom edge is always going to catch a bit of light on there. When we say it's catching light, it's not shiny, but it looks lighter because of the light on the colour. You know what I mean. Yeah, Brigandine armour, yes. I love painting Brigandine armour. Just paint it like this. And then go back afterwards, putting the rivets in. Again, we're going to have this nice green across the top there. And then that first bit at the front there is going to be very light. And as we put a bit more medium in, we start at the top of the shield, working down. And as we get down to the bottom, we're going to lay a feather inside. There we go. Yeah, it always looks good, doesn't it, when you've gone to the trouble of doing it. Next is dragon. Thank you, Rowdy. Dragon red. Not usually the Brigandine ones, because quite often you just get away with the colour because you paint all the colour around it, so there's quite a lot of shading going on. Then just go back and pick the very top of them very lightly out. So yeah, this is dragon red. So this is going to turn our purpley red into proper red. So we're going to go we're still thinning this out, but we're going to put quite a lot of it on. We're not going to, we'll stick to peaks and valleys like we did before, but we're not going to go, see where his belt is there, we're not going to go right up under his belt. And there's a slight fold like that in these bits coming down, so we're going to hit the edge of them, both sides, and then just turn it into like a giant U shape. So just leave a bit of that purple in the middle there. But you see now we're getting the red we want because we've laid down those purpley reds. Now if you had the GW whatever, you could have done this in one hit. That's what I was saying earlier. You'll get the effect, but these are a little bit more work. But then again, that means they're a little bit more versatile, I suppose. There we go. We're just going to hit the edge of that. Just keep working around until you find the kind of colour you want, you know. And we're just working. The brush has got lots of medium in it, so it's nice and wet. You see how far this paint's stretching. The most of half of his circuit without taking another brush for it. Don't get too tight up underneath that chainmail. That purple's now acting as a nice shade. This is where we get our free shading. There we go. Yeah, layering is a lot of fun. Retardant helps. Mainly retardant, I find, for like a wet blend. You'll find that if you thin your paints like this medium, they do dry a little quicker because you're painting with thinner paint. So you can always drop a bit of retarder in there as well if you wanted to. I don't tend to use a lot of the retarders, in fairness. I'm more the other way. I'm more of in a rush. I suppose it depends how hot it is where you're painting as well. I've got a friend who he's not on tonight, but I believe he's in Arizona, so it's retarded in everything, really, isn't it? Whereas if you're on the colder climes, sometimes it's the opposite. We have to get the hairdryer out to dry stuff. I'm just going to drop a bit. It's dark under there, but we're going to drop a bit of this. This is quite thin, so if it's dark under there, the dark will show through. So thin it out. Quite strong with the red across the top of the shield. That front edge. And then on the front again, we're just looking to stay inside where we did last time. And you'll find that the thinner you go as well, when you're layering up, the smoother your blends will look. Now, you see down the bottom there, that's not really caught on that purple. Wet blending is fun. Can be a little bit frustrating at times, but definitely fun. Now I put some demonic yellow when we were mucking around with the base swatch. So I've got it on the palette already. Again, we're just going to pick out that real bottom edge. In the middle of those two belts. And we're just looking for our highlights now. Keeping that nice and thin. The thinner it is, the easier the blend will look on the eye. You're showing some of the shade from underneath. It's a bit tricky on yellow. Yeah, that's free on there. We got two thin bases of the bottom, which is Demigod Flames and Fiendish Yellow, which are like orangey ones. But this demonic yellow is really bright. It's a bit like there was a yellow one in GW. Was it Sun Gits or something? But if you watch it on the bottom of this, I'm just trying to get it right onto the edge, so we leave a little gap between it and the belt. It's going to glow up a bit on the light because of the white in it. I'm just going to go around and just work it a little bit more. There we are. That's what you can do when you're highlighting. Just, I want it to be a little bit brighter than that. Pop in there. So next, what we're going to do, while we're still messing around with those, is we're going to grab Speed Paint 2 Crusader Skin. Which of those you don't know is the one we use instead of a wash to basically. So that was a Moonstone skin, just a straight base. That's all we've done there. We're going to hit it with this Speed Paint 2 as a wash. Straight out the bottle. Being brave, piling it on. Take a little bit back off. There we go. Face done. Again, that's how it is at the moment. This is a very worn out army painted character brush. So I'm not using those other brushes. Well, somebody asked me what the brushes were. The black brush I was using on the time of the swatches was going on is one of my expensive 70p ones. I think I get it through Amazon. It's got that written on it, which could be rude, I don't know. I use speed paints for all sorts of stuff. I wash them, I thin them out and use them as glazes. Yeah, but that's the closest to their old flesh wash, I think. Their new flesh wash I don't really like, but I've noticed there's a new flesh wash in one of the Blanche sets, so hopefully that'll be the same as their old flesh wash. So I like that. That was good. It's very similar to, is it Reichland Flesh Shave? Let's sit that one. I like that. But that Crusader Flesh, when that dries, that's perfect. Okay, so let's go with our final highlights on the colours. We're going for Crystal Blue. And the top highlight, we're going to be got to be careful with these because this is where you can go crazy with this and you ruin your hard work. So we're going to thin it out with the medium, and we're looking just the highest high points. So right along the center of these peaks, and then just onto the edge. Along the center of the peak, just onto the edge. Nowhere where there's any shade, we're not going in there. Just on the top there. On the top there. On top of that one. Just along the edge. Maybe it's going up a little bit under there. Not too far though. And you won't go past any of the markers you've had from the last colour, if you know what I mean. So along the center of that one. Center of that one. We stay all inside the areas we've already done. Load up again, and we're going to go and do a top edge highlight across the top of the shield, maybe a little bit on top, but not completely. And then we're going to do the edge highlight on the side of the shield going down, but not all the way. If you don't know how to do an edge highlight, assuming people know how to do edge highlight. So I'm painting with I'm loading my brush up, not too much paint because it's thin paint anyway, and then let's just paint that bit in before I forget. Just finding a bit of an edge I can do. Well, let's do a bit there. I'd usually stop there, but I'm going to demo an edge highlight. So I'm going to get the edge of the brush, so the point of the brush past the edge, and then let the edge of the brush just touch gently down. Just looking for that. There we go. Let's do it across there, I'll show you again. So I'm going past it. Let's get on camera properly. Then I'm letting the edge of the brush touch down, just gently. So I'm just painting right across the edge. Now you don't have to do a full line. Sometimes it's better just to let it touch, let it touch, let it touch, let it touch. Right, and that's our highlights done of blue. So we are on the green, we're on Eternal Hunt. Okay, I'm going to thin it out. And we're going to go down the centre of all our peaks again. Just running on the top of the peaks to the edge. Okay. Try to get more in the centre. I'm just looking for any of the peaks that will be in the real daylight, if you know what I mean. I'm trying to keep these guys a little bit generic. I've done the last 4 Hearthguard for this saga, Age of Chivalry guys. I did them with the St. George's Cross and stuff, like they look a bit crusadery. I'm keeping these ones generic so they can be used with any of the other factions. That's the good thing about the Age of Chivalry, in fairness, in the saga universe, is you can probably, if you don't go too specific with the heraldry, you can probably get away with using, I'm just going to just paint down the top of that shield just a little bit. I want a lighter green than that. There we go. I'm just lightly feathering that. Did I go down from the, yeah, I'm going to do that with the blue one as well. So I'm going to destroy my edge highlight a little bit. Thin paint. I'm just going to go probably a third of the way down. But I'm just going to let it touch and pull away. There we go. You see where it's wet? Yeah. It's a bit feathered in there. That's good. So what I'll probably do is do some kind of random coats of arms on them. Pure red time. The old pure red was very similar to like a Mephiston red or something like that in the GW world. I just think this pure red in this is a little bit, I don't know, a little bit pale. can't quite put my finger on why I'm not keen on it. I think it still works, especially when you've laid up like we have. It will still work for you. There we go, just letting it hit those highlighted areas. I'm just cruising along the peaks. Leaving the valleys. So I mean, over the top of the purples now, it really does work nice. But just on its own, you know what I mean? It's got that sort of salmony almost look. And I wanted just pure red. If it says pure red on the pot, I want pure red. Sorry, I was getting angry there. I'll stop. It got to the point where I was thinking about buying a pot of GW red just to add it into my reds. But I'll wait and see what happens with the sets they're bringing out, I think. Yeah, it's if you know the old army painter reds, the dragon. Yeah, I used to use because I've got one of them here. I rebought Abomination Gore to use as my base because I prefer it to the purple ones, but that was supposed to be replaced by that, and they're just not. It's a lot lighter, but that reminds me of the old TSR Dragon Scale red. But with that, and what was the other one? Dragon Scale red and Pure red was my free red triad in the old set. And I was really happy with that. You'd get like a proper Space Marine Blood Angel red look with that. And I'm not sure I'd get it with these. I think I'd have to work. That's what all I noticed is I could get there, but it's like the shield that I'm having to work extra hard. And I'm still going to end up with quite a sort of desaturated red, unless I put a glaze over it, and then it works. But then again, if I do that, I'm going to lose some of my nice blends. So I mean, you get a nice red, but it's not the red I feel like I want. That's my bitch. I'll stop bitching now. Okay, so we're going to go for Brigadine Brown now. Yeah. It's got like that desaturated red, and it's got like an orangey red, and I want a pure red. So come on, Army Painter. You can do it because you used to do it. But as it goes, I've got a lot less quibble. I have few quibbles. Right, so Brigadine Brown I'm going to use for the base colour of my leather. I'm going to do some of the straps in leather. Yeah. I was hoping not to struggle my paints up again. Because it makes it difficult when the my old paint set had a lot of had all the old army paint, war paints, some Vallejo, a lot of GW stuff, also P3 stuff, and a little bit of AK, I think. I had some Instar. So if you've not heard what my reasoning behind before was the fact that if somebody asked a commission of Blood Angel Space Marines, as good as examples any, I knew I'd do it, and then they'd come back 6 months later and say, "Oh, can you paint some more for me?" And I had to try and remember which reds I used, etc., etc., etc. So I swapped to all army painters, so I knew that they were the reds I used because that's the only reds I have. Just to make it easy for me, really. I do really like Instar paint as well. But I find I go down a bit of a rabbit hole with it. Because I want to mix all my own colours all the time. So I was working before, when I got it, I was working with just the primary colours and working it all out. And you get some lovely paints, but that's it. They're no good for me for... You swap from doing pre-mixed paints to sort of mix your own. And once that happened, I'm kind of out the door then, because I couldn't consistently make the same colours unless I wrote down the recipes for them all the time, which I'm not that organised. Yeah, I think the thing is with paints, I think I've said on here before, is in fairness, there's no real bad paint. You used to be able to buy bad paint, and you can't anymore because everyone's really got their game together, and it's you're buying decent stuff. Think about painting some of their level work different colours rather than just all brown. But maybe not all of them. Maybe he should have brown as well. No, sorry. You can have a brown scabbard. This brown is really, really cool. This is the Brigadine brown, which is, I think, they call it a blackish brown, whereas that's a brownish black, and they are completely different. Yeah, it's right, Cubes. If I was just doing showpieces all the time, single miniature, blah blah blah, I think I would grab some Instar stuff, because it was just so much fun to get out the colours in your head, and they're brilliant for that. I mean, we've all been there. You're looking through the racks thinking, I want colour, and you're thinking, it's the colour of a sea sponge I saw on telly the other day. And you can see the color in your head, but you can't see it in your rack. So then you end up blah blah blah, and yeah, that's the beauty of Instar. In fairness. Yeah. Yeah, it's a problem. That's why I switched out. Now you can see the method to my madness. They should be right with black. The black I mix up with mainly is the Vallejo and the medium. Is I keep it really really thin. So to be honest, once that medium's in there, it's all going to come out matte anyway. So yeah, and it behaves very much like Joe the Grim Black on the Speed Paint 2. When I've got enough medium in there and it's thin, that's what it kind of does anyway. You can always I've done it before is used the Grim Black. I thought, well, that doesn't quite look right. And then if you grab something like that dark tone and just smash a little dark tone over your black speed paint, it hits all those little areas it missed. So I think between the two of them, you're pretty much golden, aren't you? Okay, so I'm going to just highlight the flesh bit out. I'm going to jump to, I'm going to go to Barbarian Flesh. It's true. I say you can always tone it down though, can't you, with your wash? So I'll just tell the client that their armor must be faded a little bit. So now I'm going to grab that Barbarian Flesh and I'm just going to not water it down too much. Just I've got a little bit of medium in brush just to make it flow. And I'm going to highlight it out. So I'm going to run a little line across his forehead if I can get to it. A bit down the bridge of his nose, a bit on his lips, a little dash on his cheek. Hope you can see that. This is just to help the Crusader flesh out. That's where we leave that. That's the face done. Same on this one. He's even more on his helmet, so you can't get his forehead. So it's forehead, nose, top of a cheekbone, across his chin and lips. There we go. Just lightly there. Just need a little bit in there because he's got his helmet. So it's quite dark in there anyway. Alrighty. So that's our blends on our blues. You can see our dark areas. If you're not happy with this blend, you can always put a wash over it now. As long as you're quite careful of running it into the thing. But I don't think it's going to need it, in fairness. So what we can do now is grab our greedy gold. It's greedy gold time, guys. We're in 2 hours. Wow, that's flown by. I lost 10 minutes. Ah, right. Oh, you've done a blue. The only way to explain that is you've done a blue highlight on your black, maybe a dry brush or an edge highlight. I've done it before, and the only way to explain it, isn't it, is you paint your black and you do a dark blue highlight, which is the only way to describe it, but it's not quite correct, I don't think. But yeah, dog wrangling. So I'm going to go back with the greedy gold. I'm going to do the cross guard of his sword. I've gone back to my crappier brush, so I don't wreck it. We're going to pick out some little bits, like a little fancy bit on top of his helmet there. Cross guard of his dagger, pommel of his sword. Yeah, it did throw me out a little bit earlier. In fairness, he was being very naughty. There's his spurs in gold as well, because why not? He's been a good boy all day as well. He was just excited, in fairness. And are they pauldrons? I'll be prepared to get that wrong. I'll pick them out as well. And so these are we're going to do some silver work onto that dark metal grey anyway. I'm going to pick out, there's some rivets in the bottom of the helmet. We're going to just go round. Now you can see that. It's not good to try and look at the camera at the same time as painting rivets as well. So I gift one up there. But by the time the lacquer it, that will disappear. And we'll do the joints of his. There we go. Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky stuff. I try and avoid doing when I'm doing a big batch of horses, because there's no true black horse really. Please don't write in. But yeah, it's I will rarely paint a black horse. If I do like a 30 and I'm doing lots of different batches of colours, there won't be many black ones in there, tell you. Or pure white. That's another one, isn't it? It should be greys. There's a bit around the bottom of his head. So I don't want to put any too fancy kind of no recognizable heraldry on them, because then I can only use them for the one warband. Like, eventually I'll put fleur de lis and French stuff all over them. I can't very well use them as English then. Can I, really? So if I put, you know the score. Yeah, I'll make some. I did some ready free course, yeah. I started doing some front rank ones up for that, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna do them black with a skull and crossbones kind of motif. And I looked up the I thought I'll check my family crest first. I put my surname in, which is Newton, and I didn't know is I googled coat of arms Newton and crossbones. You can Google it now if you like. It's true. Basically, Sir Isaac Newton, when he was knighted, drew his own coat of arms. And it wasn't a skull and crossbones, it's just crossed bones. Yeah, they do. We're going to do a bit more highlighting yet as well. We're going to dull the gold off and then re-highlight that as well. And then we're going to highlight the silver. But yeah, it certainly does make it all pop, doesn't it? I mean, we're giving these a little extra beans than we would if they were our raggedy warriors, because these are our Hearthguard, so these are our posh boys. I think the metallics on the army paint front, the metallics are really good. I think the mistake they made with the old ones was they were really hard to shake up. And when you first got them, you had to really prep them correctly. There was like a packing medium in them, so you had to like squirt that out, then shake them up. And I used to, at that point, put a bit of medium in them as well, which always made them work better. So to this one. So yeah. So yeah, I was telling my story about painting my so I painted 3 or 4 knights in the same livery, and then I painted some men at arms as well in the same livery. And I thought I'll take them to the last show with me just to show them off on the middle of my display. And some chance I bought them. I didn't really want to sell them. I sort of said, well, they're not really for sale. And he went, but they're on your stand. And I thought, well, he's got a point. So yeah, I sold them. So I've got to paint some more now. Oh, no, no, no. It was just literally the Newton crest is two crossed feet. I think they're tibias. It was a particular bone. And it was just his one for his crest. And I thought, oh, I'll paint that onto my Couture band. The guy that bought them was wanted them because he said they'd be charging across. I can't remember what battle he was fighting. It was against some Scots, and he was saying they'd be charging across the bridge tomorrow, smashing Scots up. And I thought, okay, I can't really argue with that. Crack on, they're sold. So yeah, sometimes you just have to listen to reason. Just a little bit across the top of his knees there. So yeah. Yeah, I was quite surprised when I looked it up online. Not expecting that. Yeah. Right, where was I? I just had a bit of a brain fart there. Okay, so now we're going to grab the shining silver. I do this because when the matte medium goes over, it tones everything down, and this helps you bring it back out to life. So I'm going to use the broken brush, and what we're going to do, well, before we do that, we're just going to grab, if that be too strong, oh, we'll do with that. We'll just water that down a little bit. I'm putting a bit of medium into our flesh shade, our Crusader flesh shade. And I'm just going to lay some of that onto the gold. Yeah. Hold it down just a little bit. Then I'll let just the brush just touch down on the gold, trying to keep it off the gunmetal. Again, just run it around that golden belt. See how it's nicely going into the grooves there. This is going to give it a slightly tarnished look. I usually just use the flesh tone. I've got an old pot of Reichland flesh shade that's mixed with the last of my war painter one, because the new one is like a brown base rather than a red base, and I don't like it as much. There's a dark red tone that I like a little bit more, but say I'm hoping that the John Blanche one is darker. If not, I'll get a pot of Reichland Flesh Shade because that works very well as well. And GW can have my money rather than the army painter, and it's their own fault for getting rid of my favourite wash. And if you see him, you can tell him that. I think Peachy's just gone to work for him, so if I see him at Partisan, he was at Partisan last year, I shall tell him. Okay, just letting it run onto this belt. This is just to make it look a bit interesting. You don't have to do this. When the flesh shade, well, you've got to watch it doesn't run like that. It's run through the belt and into our yellow. So we're just gonna, I clean my brush. We're just gonna wick it away. We want this stuff just sitting on the gold areas. We don't want it running into our yellow areas. So just be careful. You'll be careful with this stuff, but got to be brave. There we go. That's all in there. Now we go to what we're going to do. We're going to do the silver. So make sure your brush is dry. This is still my one with the knackered point. I'm going to pick up some of that silver. I load the brush up, then I unload the brush. If that makes sense. I'm not drying it. It's not a dry brush. It's more like an over brush, is what we call it. And we're going to just let it touch down on any high areas we want to shine. So you don't want too much shiny stuff on there because we've got that nice black metal. But because it's very black, we're going to have certain areas that are going to just glint in the sunshine. So just going to touch our brush down nice and lightly. Little patches of chainmail as well, just pick out. Just work around the miniature quite quickly. I say it's now probably, this has turned into a bit of a dry brush now. So I can go a bit harder. We're going to edge highlight the sword, making sure the point gets not glinty. I'm going to load up the brush again. I'm going to unload the brush. I'm going to look for some other areas. So it's edge of these, any rivets, edge of there, top of his foot. That we're going to get those highlight down. Again, I'm not worried about if it gets a little bit shiny, but as long as it's in the areas. Yeah. So as you move around a little, it looks like it's glinting. You getting that? Okay, it looks quite bright at the moment. Remember, I'm going to put you're right under the main light at the moment. So by the time you've put a lacquer over this, it's going to be about right. Work quickly, don't get caught in one place. Just touch the top of the sword there. So as you work around and you get less paint in there, that over brush becomes a dry brush, so you can just work it. A little bit on his calf there. So as it caught on the bottom there, I was just able to rub it off my finger. Just a little gentle touch. Be gentle. Try not to, it's like the helm there. I don't want any underneath because there won't be any. Yeah, so you got that. So again, grabbing that silver, load my brush up, take it out again. So it's a bit long-winded the way I've done the metal on these guys, but this is the reason I've gone the long way around, because I can pick, rather than a complete dry brush situation, or you know, I can pick where I want my glints to go. So I'm happier. So I can directionally shade it all and have the edge highlight in and all that groovy stuff. I played around with non-metallic metal, and to be honest, I prefer this. I think non-metallic metal looks great. I really do like the look of it, and I did play around with it for a bit, and I just think if you look at this guy's helmet, where I've done that shine, it really looks like the light is shining off, glinting off it. It's not really, and I think that looks nicer because it just works for my eye. The trouble I've got with non-metallic metal, and it's probably how my brain works rather than the actual skill, because it is a talent. You can work it like anything. Is it only works for me in one position. So if you do non-metallic metal and it looks great from front on, yeah, that's the only. As soon as it moves, it doesn't kind of move with the miniature. I know this doesn't technically, but I'm really kind of explaining this quite badly, and I don't want to offend anybody that does like non-metallic metal, because it is good. It's just different. My brain, my eyeballs and brain just don't handle it well, and that's on me, not the thing. So do you get what I'm saying? It works in one direction, whereas this guy, he looks shiny, but only in certain areas from anywhere you look at him. That's exactly what I was trying to. Thank you, Kubler. That's what I was trying to say in a very long-winded way. I think that explains it far better than me. Great in photos, but the second it moves, the illusion is lost for you. Me too. Total agreement. And as I said, I wouldn't wish anyone that likes it to be offended in any way, because it does look good, but I know it just doesn't work in my brain, and that's the reason. Thank you. So let's do some. I wonder if I have to go back and do all those belts brown. I kind of like. I was going to do some colourful ones, but I think there's enough colour already, so I'm going to go back and just knock these belts into leather because I can. Yeah, so my website's coming on, filling up, and got lots of nice, pretty pictures on it. please drop by and have a look, and because the more people look at it, apparently the more it works in the search engine. So if you can bip by later and have a look, and of course any feedback is welcome. There's a contact me section which you can fill in, and it sends me an email, or you can get in touch with me through usual channels. I'm adding more stuff all the time and trying to do various things. It's only on the website, it's only available, the stuff's only available UK at the moment, so I'm sorry about that. But if there's any way we can sort it out, message me and we can try and do something there. Oh, thank you, Ben. Yeah, we're doing all right. We're 2 hours 20 minutes minus whatever you're going to allow me for the dog fiasco. I think I lost about 10-15 minutes at the start. It was, I remember looking at it, was thinking, oh god, I've really got to crack on with this. What we're going to do is we can go back to our original purpley colour, because what I do like doing with that is using it for the grips of swords and daggers and stuff. So I think it looks groovy. I think we're mostly down to the fiddly bits. I just think this makes the handles look interesting. Okay. Let's grab desert yellow for the haft of his halberd. Halberd, I think it's halberd. Might be better to paint it darker so it doesn't clash with his jumper. Let's go with oak brown. Always be prepared to change. Nothing's set in stone. Yeah, if I'd have painted that sort of yellowy wood, it would just have been lost against his nice yellow tabard. So we're gonna swap it out for this dark brown. Just run that down there. And kind of quiet there, so I was concentrating not to get the brown on anything else. So let's see how dry that white, because it does take quite a while to dry. Let's just put a bit of medium in there. Find our psycho brush, paint some eyeballs. Obviously, some of them we won't be able to get to. Just a bit of matte white and a bit of medium. I've got good eyes in these. The paint. There we go. My main website is piraterichpaints.square.site. It's really just an extension of my stall that I take to the conventions, like. But it's got some pretty pictures on there. As I said, the more traffic that goes across it, though, apparently the more it gets picked up by the logarithms of Google or something, because there's a search thing on it. Somebody very technical did explain it to me, but I wasn't really listening. I was going, yes, as I was knowingly nodding along and stuff. So let's get some black dots in there. Aim just off the center. Then match it up the other side. There we go. This will be a challenge. Right in the helm there. There we go. So let's sneak our brush under there. There we go. Can we see those? Yeah, just about. I know. I saw a discussion earlier about whether you should paint eyeballs or not. And up to you. Paint them if you like. Don't paint them if you don't. I think people should paint them because it's good practice for other stuff. And that is the main reason for painting them. Not because you should paint the eyes. It's good practice, especially freehanding. Okay, so I'm going to run a wash over the shields, I think. Oh, I can do the back of the shields with that oak first. I've got that oak out. Very juicy colour for the back. Well, I'm never sure whether to paint them metal or whether they were wooden with metal bound. Some are just pure metal, don't they? I don't know. As other people say, I'm not a shield scientist. I just know if there's something behind there it needs painting, so paint it. Yeah, on the website, keep checking back because I've got like a clearance section that I've called it Pirate Bay, and as I sort through the old miniatures and rules and stuff, I should be clearing some stuff out. So even though some of it's kind of full price stuff, and quite some of it's not for the faint-hearted, some of the prices on there, that's for sure. But I will be, as I've got like a load of Osprey rules that I bought and never used, I just all stacked up on the shelf, and I thought it's time to move them on. So because they're brand new, I've kind of just knocked a little bit off, but I should be putting stuff on sale prices. So look out for sale prices. And look out on Pirate Bay. Because you should be able to pick up a few good price stuff. Or at least stuff that's kind of not normally available. But I shan't waffle on. Yeah, I thought so. I thought so. It was later on, wasn't it? They were metal, especially like the jousting, when it was clipped onto. I don't know. I know many people that do know. Right, bootstrap brown. We're going to get into that leather. This is going over that brigadine brown. Bit of medium in there. And we're just going to say we'll hit the front of that. Not right up in there, because we're going to hit edge, and leave the bottom bit. There we go. So we've left some of it in the original brown. We've left the sides and the back in that brigadine brown. And then he's got some straps on the back of his leg. We're just going to touch into maybe the middle part of those. I'll show you on there. We're going to hit the top, hit that edge, hit that edge. I've not done any under there because it's darker. Hit the edge there, and we leave the bottom. Maybe hit a bit on the edge. Just working a little bit of highlighting there, because there's going to be a third one on there. So when we hit this belt, we're kind of hit the top half. This belt, not getting too close into the main belt, and we're just going to paint it. And we're looking at the top half of this belt, and the top edge there, and maybe the back third of that. And then these straps on the back of his leg, we're just going to hit the middle third, middle third, middle third. And this would be the right hand side of the third, if you know what I mean. So that's in the daylight. When we go back to the next one, we'll only paint over these bits. So looking at top edge of his belt there, that bit there, top edge of that scabbard, top edge, any edge that's facing out, but not the complete face. Middle third, middle third. Just creating a little highlight on the leather, that's all. I'm going to use this bootstrap brown to do his mustache, because it's a fine mustache and it deserves to be nice and brown. Again, I'm going to pick up a bit medium into the bootstrap brown, top edge of the belt, Edge. So has anyone got any games on this weekend? We haven't had that discussion, have we yet? No one playing any games this weekend? Ben's usually running something or blowing somebody up or gluing something to himself. Yeah, you haven't said that for a while. Ben, any tales of glue? Okay, we're going to get for leather brown now, which is our highest highlight on the brown. If you want a shortcut to all this brown, you can use our secret weapon. Just do one coat of it, but every so often it's worth doing a nice triple shaded brown. So with this one, we're going to just run along the edge of this, not starting right at the top, and just lift off. A little bit in the middle, lift off. Oh, excellent. Yes. Yeah. It's a really easy game to learn the basics of, and it's. I was talking to Darren about it the other day, one of the Beasties, and it's getting the board. The boards are the clever bit. Because they really make the factions act like they should in most cases. I suppose the purists would argue that, but I think each one gives a definite character. I'm just working through some new plans for Age of Magic. Which would be interesting. Watch a space for that one. It's been brewing for a while, this one. So yeah. So next time we can do the Warlord and finish these guys off. Or I think there's another troll kicking around. Or maybe trolled out. We've done a few troll ones. Or we can start on the juggler miniatures. We can use this leather brown just to put a little bit of highlight in his tash. Just on the front edge, just touching down. There we go. Yes. I've yeah. It's pretty accessible, isn't it? It's even like this Age of Chivalry, it's like you can pretty much go to town with the miniatures because it's like it's the first one you can really you can get away with the say for instance using, if you just basically paint the picks, you could probably get away with using them for the Scots, and you know what I mean, there's a bit of sacrilege and that going on there, and people, you might set a few people's OCD kicking off, but you can, use, I don't know. That's the best example I can think of, actually. the Picts as Scots, or the Norse Gaels, or the Welsh and Irish are going to look fairly similar. Anglo-Saxons and the Anglo-Danes are going to be pretty much the same. You can use Vikings as John's Vikings, and you can use... You get the picture. So I think whatever you can stretch your imagination to, really. And even more so in the Age of Magic. Sorry, I was having a slurp of my drink there. I was nudging the miniatures. I thought the picture had frozen on the screen. Yeah, I'm just not quite happy with the way the blend is on the shields. So what we're going to do before we do any design on it, we're just going to put a tone over them, just to blend it all in a little bit. So we just match it to the colour. So this red tone, I'm just going to run a little bit on the front of the shield. And because it's sort of gravity, it will kind of pull a little bit towards the bottom. You don't want too much on there, though. We'll put a little bit, maybe in the recesses as well. So rather than being all over the place, we're just putting a little bit, darken it up a little bit around the belt as well. The red is just a little bit off to my eye to what I wanted. Just see we've got that little bit of naff blend there. A little bit of wash, or a glaze, anything like that. If you've not got a wash or glaze, just get your mid blue, water it right out, and use that as a glaze. Look at that. We're just gonna run that right over the front of the shield. I think these blends and that are right on there. Yeah. You can work around the model and just put some of this into the darker areas if you wanted to. Green, I'm out of ordinary green. I think I'm on the military shader. That's it. Oh no, a little bit in there. I have to order another green tone. I'm just trying to get those blends nice on the front of the shield. So I'm using this as a bit of a filter. And he hasn't got a shield, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm just going to use a little bit of the bootstrap brown to highlight the wood on that bit as well. There we go. Nice. So he's pretty much done apart from shield. He is 2. And he's 2. And he is 2. So it's just literally the freehanding to do now. My eyes take it for the rest of the evening. I've been painting all day. We're 2 hours 46 minutes in. I think starting the freehanding now might be a mistake. What do you think, guys? Let me paint the black around the. Let me paint the victory lap for a moment. See if I see how good I'm feeling. might have finished them if it wasn't for that pesky dog. So this is the black that I mix up, which is just literally any black that I get hold of. It's usually Vallejo when I misorder the undercoat. Quite often I'll order just pure black. It's very cheap actually buying it in the 200ml. I advise people to actually do it. If you can get a 200ml black from, I think I usually get on Amazon, about £10-11, you can buy a 200ml of black. Don't buy black in these little pots. Or if you like the dropper bottles, just fill your dropper bottle up with it. All I do is add medium to it, so it's nice and thin. So that's thinner than ordinary Lola. So it's a little bit thin. We're going to put the tufts on. I should put the tufts on in the morning because I can't be asked to get the super glue out. I know it sounds terribly lazy. This good thing is if you thin the black down as well, it runs off your brush nice and easy like that, you see. So you can paint with the like surface tension of the brush. So I was thinking, oh, blue, I shall paint a fleur de lis. That I was thinking earlier on. I was saying, don't paint anything. Right, let's have a look then. Where's our black gone? Let's get that black out. I'm going to paint some. Make sure your medium's dry. Sorry, the glaze is dry before you do this. The tone, what's we call it, thingy, Bob? Okay. Just pull that angle out a bit. And just work it until you're happy with it. I think there's actually, on where that blend is, it's actually we've obviously stuck the shield or moved the shield. There's actually a little bit of a fault line there. So what we'll do is we'll make it part of the shield by painting that a line straight across there to hide it. So this, also I'm not quite on camera there. I'm sorry guys, getting a bit weary. And so this black is thinned out, so it's perfect for doing stuff like this with. That's mainly why I keep it in a pot and keep it kind of watered, because I can do eyeballs and stuff straight out of that pot, and it's perfect for it. I want to put a second one of those in as well. Just match it up with the first one. My 60p brush. I say the points are good on them, but they don't last very long. If I've got a big batch to paint, I tend to swap over to the arm painter stuff. It's a bit thicker there. Okay. What should be on this one then? But I don't want it in black. It's got the other ones to work in black. So we'll do we use a bit of brown. Just my medium one. There it is. So that was just that oak brown. Yeah. And again. So we're going to keep it fairly simple because, like, I want to be able to use these for anyone rather than somebody saying, "Oh, that's such and such and such and such." I can leave him just yellow. I was going to put like you've got to be tricky with like if you start putting like red stars and stuff like that on him, you start picking up people's personal heraldry and stuff. So I'm going to leave him just in the yellow. I've done these black lines like this because I'm going to grab pale sand, which is an off yellowishy white. Hopefully, let's grab my insane detail, which is the one up from Psycho. I'm just going to get some medium in my brush, load it up, get some medium. It's really important when you're doing any freehand and you get the consistency of the paint is important. You can go over it again, so I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the consistency of the paint and where we're putting it. So don't try and glob it on there in one go. You don't want to go, you don't want to go. So I've done that black lines first because A, they're a guide for this white one, and B, they're going to make it look fancy that we've outlined the white with black, if you see what I mean. Let that dry out. Let's do some diamonds, shall we, on this one? Maybe 3 diamonds. It's probably somebody else's heraldry, but hey. Just want to flow properly. It's really tricky getting the consistency right is the important thing. So if it's not flowing right, you won't be able to do it as it end of. But if it's too wet, it's just going to go all over the place. So it's really is a trial and error thing. This is why I go back to saying paint eyeballs, because that's exactly the same. And they're easier to put right. In fairness, we've done a lot of work on this shield earlier. So you don't want to mess it up now by talking when you should be able to concentrate. So don't talk while you're doing this, because you should be concentrating. The thing is, if you do it onto the black background, there's a number of things you can do. If it goes horrendously wrong, you can go back over it with the black and just straighten up a bit. Or you could just paint black straight back over. Easy. There we go. I'm happy with that. So then brown on this one, because I'm going to run yellow across there. Don't worry about getting it perfect on the first pass. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Sometimes the first pass will just be basically getting it in the right area so you can sort out on the next one. It's like, that's not perfect on the start of that, but if I try and sort it out right away, I'll nap it up. So it's best to do the next bit and come back to that. Yeah, so they're not perfect yet. None of those lines are perfect yet. But there we go. We're going to come back at it. Load back up the yellow. Because we can go more careful the second time, because we don't need to cover as much area the second time, so we can actually get our paint a little bit thinner. If you're going to struggle with it is when doing this, obviously I can't look at the screen to see if I'm on the screen or not, so hopefully I am. If I'm not, sorry, I'll show you in a sec. Okay, keep the medium going in. The bottom wasn't too bad. We're just going to run it down, so that just a strength that yellow. This is the point we could go round and put yellow on their coats and stuff like that, but I don't want to. I'm quite happy with that like that. We go back to this one now. And see that white there wasn't quite strong enough, so we're just going to grab a bit of white on our brush, and this time it can be thinner. Just go down the center of that white. It just strengthens it up a bit. There we go. I'm happy with that. Again, we can do this as well. We can pick a little bit of white up. Get a nicer shape of, try and match them all up. I know Rich might like to be doing this. He holds his breath while I do it. Do you still do that, Rich? Okay, so I'm happy with that. Happy with that one. So they're ready for tufts. Just want a little tiny bit of white on the top of this one. Just turn a little tiny bit of white in there. There we go. Tiny bit on the end of my brush. There we go. And these guys, what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to grab a bit of black. It's already watered, so we can use it straight out of the pot. And we're just going to square these diamonds off. Breathe, Rich. There we go. That one's done. That's the last one. There we go. And they're fine. You need to go back on that because we did those black lines around the edge. So you can just touch that in there a little bit if you want. There we go. And I'm happy with that. You can always fiddle around with them in the morning a little bit more if you want to. Before we put the lacquer on. Let's have a look at what we got. So there's these spooky eyes. He's happy with that. As I said, we got very basic heraldry on these guys, so they can go into any. I'll probably put something down the middle of there, in fairness, in the morning. So there we go. There you have it. That's the men at arms or Hearthguard for the 100-Year War. 4-point start box, isn't it? Foot soldiers. 100 Years War. Foot warband. 4 points. Age of Chivalry. Thank you very much, Kubler. Thank you, Rich. So yeah, they can slot in, and I think there's one more batch of them to do, and that 4-point set's done. Oh no, 4 point. I think there's a point and the warlord to do. Okay, so we'll leave that there tonight because I'm fairly worn out, and it's 3 hours, 10 minutes, so it's 3 hours without. Cheers, buddy. Thank you for joining me, Artemis. Yeah, thanks for joining me, guys. It's the end of the video bit where I have to say about people subscribing and liking and messaging and finding us on social media and checking out the website and all that sort of stuff. I think you've got all that. I think I say it every week, so I won't say any more. I'll just say thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Have a lovely weekend. Yeah, enjoy your saga in Kubler. Yeah, cheers, guys. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Cheers then. Bye-bye.